right. Well, hi, everyone. We're so thrilled to have you join us on the TNP's Facebook page today. And we are really, really thrilled with our guest today. I'm Carolina Quesada with the Nonprofit Partnership and welcoming you to another interview in our series that we've titled Our Stories, Our Time. And in this series, we interview nonprofit leaders to understand how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted their work, impacted their staff teams and their communities as well. And let me just say that, we fully understand that at this time, keeping connected to one another, knowing our stories, it's as important as ever. So we're always thrilled to be able to engage with leaders like Porter, who I will be formally introducing in just a quick sec. And by the way, if you're watching us live, we encourage you to go ahead and leave a comment, say hi to our special guest today. We'll do our best to kind of read off if there are any questions during the interview. So with that, let me pass it over to Porter Gilberg, who's the Executive Director of the LGBTQ Center of Long Beach. Porter, welcome. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello. So tell us a little bit more about the center, the mission of the center, the programs, services, what you all do.
Well, at the LGBTQ Center Long Beach for the last 40 years, we have been advancing equity for LGBTQ people through culturally responsive advocacy, education, programs, and services. We are the community center for folks across the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning spectrum. We are open 6 days a week, and we are working harder than ever right now.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that, because you and I got a chance to check in really briefly. And it's important for everyone to know how this pandemic, this whole situation is impacting not just the LGBTQ center, but also the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, our bread and butter is always, providing services for LGBTQ folks and their loved ones that need them, whether that's health services like HIV, STI testing, mental health counseling, support groups, senior services, youth services, transgender health services, legal services, you name it. We are really that one-stop shop community center that's there to say, hey, what do you need? Let's find a way to get it to you. And during this pandemic, none of that has changed. Mental health needs are still there. Health needs are still there. Social isolation is obviously a huge issue right now. Yeah. So we are fortunate that, we have an infrastructure that enabled us to get digital very quickly. So all of our staff were fully remote and serving our community within 3 days of the major onset of the epidemic. We made a decision on a Monday that to protect our community, we were going to close the building to the public. And by Thursday, 100% of us were working remote. So we are still providing all of our other services with the exception of HIV and STI testing, which we are hoping to relaunch next week. We're finalizing those protocols. But we're also doing a lot of new stuff to serve our community. So grocery delivery for older adults, direct financial relief to folks who don't have enough to eat or money to purchase their medications or to get hygiene supplies. We have taken our mental health counseling to a telehealth platform. We are providing tech devices like tablets for older adults who aren't able to connect to our services because they don't have enough money to buy technology. So we are doing everything we were doing before and then some, and we've really seen an increase in need. We're also about to bring on two temporary staff members to meet the elevated need, particularly in our senior services department. So that's one of our smaller departments. We do have one full-time staff member that provides supportive services to about 150 LGBTQ older adults. She is usually supported by a couple interns. Internships are ending. So we are fortunate that with funding from the Eisner Foundation, that we are going to be able to convert our interns directly into part-time staff members to work with us until we get through this epidemic to continue serving our community.
Wow. Well, obviously, I mean, unfortunately, there is sort of this additional layer of need and issues to have to deal with, but we're very grateful to know that our local center, LGBTQ Center, has been supported by funders who certainly understand that there is an elevated need. Porter, when you describe the need among the senior population, what are some of the things that you and your team are seeing? And more specifically, and you've kind of already given us an idea, how are you responding to that population?
Well, one of the things that's most important to know is that when we talk about LGBTQ seniors, we're talking about a population that does not receive the recognition and support that they need to thrive in our communities. So, you know, when we talk about older adults in general, there's a huge issue with invisibility in our community. When we talk about LGBTQ older adults, we're talking about a group of folks that are less likely to have children, more likely to live in poverty, and statistically less likely to reach out to mainstream social and support systems like county hotlines, senior centers, and other mainstream older adult support services. So we're talking about folks who have a real fear of experiencing discrimination or a real fear of disclosing their LGBTQ and reaching out for services. So for a lot of the seniors in our programs, we are their only social service safety net. We are their only social outlet. We are the only folks checking in on them. So our program is incredibly critical in meeting the needs, and there's a lot of them. So, you know, for example, when we talk about isolation, we have folks who come and participate in our older adult groups, and our groups are the only place where they acknowledge that they are an LGBTQ person. So ensuring that our seniors have access to technology right now to connect to our digital groups is really, really critical. And in addition to making sure they have the technology, making sure they have the support to know how to use the technology is just as important. So as I mentioned, we were able to get all of our programming up and running in the span of about 3 days. We got our groups up shortly thereafter. And we spent about an hour and a half per client with several dozen clients to show them how to get on Zoom. You know, Zoom can be very intuitive for some of us. We're obviously on Zoom right now. For some older adults, it's not as easy. So again, we spent an hour and a half with several dozen clients to connect them. And now our digital support groups and our senior services department are better attended than almost any other support group or social group that we offer. We will have sometimes 30 to 40 seniors on our video conference.
You know, I was just about to ask you what that reception from the seniors have been. Understanding, I think, you know, as you're illustrating, that there probably has to be some time spent with folks just to kind of get them to understand the ins and outs of technology and troubleshooting. But it sounds like you've been getting really good response.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've also increased our digital programming. So in senior services, we have our core Saturday groups, Encore Men and Les Chat. We still have our Tuesday group, which is called Coffee Talk Tuesday. And then we added twice a month a Watch Party Wednesday, where older adults get together and watch some movies, and Talk It Out Thursday, where, you know, folks just get on the chat and talk it out. And I'm also really, really thankful for the support of a number of friends who are university professors, because we're trying to increase content. So one of the things I did is reach out to almost all of my friends who are university professors and ask them if they would guest lecture. So our seniors are also getting right now a world-class education in LGBTQ studies, women and gender studies, criminology, cultural anthropology, and English literature.
What a story to tell about also this new collaboration. I know that you collaborate with a lot of organizations in the community, but it's interesting to see that this has also been an opportunity to engage some of the academics, you know, in what you're doing.
Yeah, I will say I'm very, very grateful to these folks. A lot of them are personal friends, including one of my neighbors who I just brain farted. I was like, oh, Becky's a criminology professor. So just texted and said, hey, we really need to support our seniors right now. We're looking for some content. Can you help out? And the response was an overwhelming yes.
Yeah. So going back to the point on social isolation, and I know that you're also engaging young people as well. You have very many different demographic groups that the center is actually engaging, and also has some very targeted programming and activities. Is there any general feedback you want to share with us about what young people are saying as they are having these conversations and some of the experiences that they're going through, particularly at home or wherever they are, to stay safe?
Well, when we're talking about LGBTQ youth, a lot of the challenges are almost comparable to the challenges of older adults. So if these kids don't have the support of their parents or caregivers, if they're not out at home, a lot of these kids are having trouble connecting to our digital groups and our digital programming right now. Additionally, a lot of our kids that are minors, so we have services for teens and minors, and then we have services for young adults, and our young adult services are off the charts right now. They are having
Wow.
A great time participating in our digital groups. For our teens, for our minors, the barriers of not having familial support, of not being out at home, coupled with restrictions on screen time. So a lot of kids are now on their computers all day for school, and parents and caregivers don't want them on their computers after school, means that a lot of them are being isolated from their LGBTQ support communities. So we are looking at creative ways like changing the times of our groups, creating other connection opportunities online to try and make sure our kids are supported, in addition to our kind of face-to-face chat groups, like this. We also, in partnership with an organization called Centerlink, they're a national advocacy and support organization for LGBTQ centers, participate in a program called Q Chat Space. So those are digital chat rooms. So for those of us old enough to remember chat rooms where you typed it out, it's one of those. And we are one of several centers across the country that offer chat groups as well for LGBTQ youth. And those are attended by hundreds of youth from across the country.
Wow. So you're also able to engage beyond even just our region, other communities.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that a lot of LGBTQ centers have noticed once we all got past the Zoom bombing phase. So, for folks who aren't familiar with Zoom bombing, it's when hateful bigots come into a group and just completely disrupt it by drawing offensive things on whiteboards and, saying all sorts of hateful stuff. Once we got past that Zoom bombing phase, and even before then, a lot of centers noticed that they were getting participation in their virtual groups from across the world. I know an LGBTQ center in Michigan that hosts 12-step recovery groups that had participants from like Sweden.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. In many ways, technology is able to bridge a lot of those divides, and people will seek those services that are really there to listen to them and to support them, and where you're building community. But one of the things too that we're finding is that this is such an important time to collect data on what's happening, how communities are reacting to what's happening. And earlier, when you and I had an opportunity to just kind of do a quick little check-in, you were talking to me about, some of what you're seeing and really actually not seeing around data collection. Share with us a bit more about that.
Sure. So not to put you on the spot, how many folks do we have watching right now?
Let's see. I wonder if our producer can let us know. We have a producer behind the scenes.
Give us a head count.
We have had up to, I think, 10. We may have about 5 right now.
Okay. So I have something that is very important for me to share with the 5 people watching. It is a problem that our city is not collecting data about how many LGBTQ people are being infected with coronavirus. It is a problem that the county is not collecting data on sexual orientation and gender identity when it comes to how many people in our community have been infected with coronavirus. It is a problem we don't know how many LGBTQ people have been hospitalized. It is a problem we don't know how many LGBTQ people have passed away. It is a problem that we don't know how many LGBTQ people have recovered. We know from organizations like Human Rights Campaign, the National LGBT Cancer Network, SAGE, and the Williams Institute that our community has disproportionate risk to COVID-19 complications. We know that our community experiences disproportionate rates of poverty. We know we are disproportionately impacted by things like working in the hospitality industry. Our community is 5 times more likely to work in hospitality and service sectors, outward-facing sectors. We are at risk for this virus, and we have not seen any outward-facing leadership from the city or the county when it comes to data collection, and that needs to change. So to support that, as often happens, our state legislature has taken the lead, and Senator Anthony Weiner out of Northern California has introduced a Senate bill that will mandate every local health entity, so every city and county health entity, mandate that they collect data on sexual orientation and gender identity for everybody getting tested for coronavirus, which to me really demonstrates leadership and potentially fixes a leadership failure we are experiencing at the local level. So thank you to the 5 people who listened to that.
Well, and you know what else, Porter? I'll just say that after we post these videos up on YouTube, for example, and even as they continue to stay on our Facebook page, we do get several hundred views of the message. So hopefully your message will continue to reverberate.
I don't mean to poke fun. I don't mean to poke fun at all. I know, nonprofit partnership is a really valuable resource. I know that y'all have a huge network and that tons of people watch. I'm sure, and not just because I got a message from the producer, there are hundreds of people that watch after the fact. So I'm just razzing.
No, but I think you make a great point, and it is, again, data is important. Data drives a lot of the policy decisions and also a lot of the decisions that are happening right now, emergency-wide. I just wanted to have a quick follow-up to what the Assembly is doing. And do you have any sense of, are they going to try and fast-track this through the legislature, and maybe we can see some results?
Absolutely. So I believe the bill is with the Senate right now. I need to do an online update. I've been slammed. But I do believe this is going to be fast-tracked, and I do believe there is significant support. We know that we have some incredible openly LGBTQ members of our state Senate and state Assembly, and incredible ally advocates as well, who really don't just talk the talk and march in our pride parades, but actually take substantive legislative action to ensure we are increasing equity for our community and making sure that our community is counted. Because when we are not counted and we don't know the extent of a problem, the problem doesn't exist.
Right. And I think that your commentary today really continues to underscore what an important advocate you are in the community. And again, being very mindful about data during these times, which sometimes I think not a lot of folks understand how important it really is to be counted in so many ways, how important it is to make sure that we are on the radar, right? Because so much is counted on that based on where the data is. So thank you, Porter, and I'm sure that for folks who may have more questions or may want to maybe even help promote some of this or be interested in some of the legislation you brought up, we can always post your contact information or that of the centers in the chat box. Listen, I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk about what the center is working on right now. I mean, there's a lot that you and your team are working on at the moment, and today we got a glimpse of that. But there's something in particular. There's a campaign that's coming up, and I'm hoping you can take a few minutes to talk more about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So today would have been the kickoff to Long Beach Pride.
Yep.
So the center and the AIDS food store would have been hosting the pink party tonight at Hamburger Mary's. The festival would have kicked off tomorrow. I'm gonna have a siren go by right now. Just gonna let you know, got a fire truck. There it goes. I live on a busy street in the city. So yeah, Pride would have been this weekend. We would have had the festival, we would have had the parade, we would have had hundreds of our community members marching with us. And we know, as a community, before I talk about the campaign, I want to take a step back. One of the things as an LGBTQ community we know is the importance of responding to a public health crisis as soon as it comes up, whether or not we have the support from the larger community, whether or not we have the support from our government, whether or not we have the funding to support us. We saw that with HIV in the 80s and 90s. And for a lot of members of our community, they are having deja vu. A lot of what we're seeing about lack of access to testing, lack of access to resources, not knowing how many folks in our community are impacted, those are echoes of the HIV crisis. And what we do know as a community is that we are safer when we are not congregating, we are safer when we are washing our hands, we are safer when we are not out in public, and we are safer when we are at home. So what we are doing this weekend as a center is we are having a mini Pride celebration called Proud at Home. And so I have this lovely shirt, and because we're proud at home, it's got houses on it, and it also has our logo because every good organization knows how to brand. And so we are celebrating Pride by being proud at home this weekend. So our senior services program, our youth and family services program, and several other programs are all having Pride theme programming. And tomorrow we are going to send out an official statement honoring Pride and what Pride means to us as an LGBTQ community. And folks are going to have the opportunity to order these wonderful Proud at Home shirts that you can feel good wearing, even if nobody else can see you wearing them. So we're going to put those on pre-sale tomorrow, and they will go out into the community in June, which is Pride Month in the United States, which commemorates the Stonewall Rebellion in 1969 in New York.
So Porter, what link do we get to visit to support the campaign, get a t-shirt? Can you give us the link now?
Absolutely. So if folks want more information on our campaign or how to get a t-shirt, I am going to direct you to our website, which is centerlb.org, because we are really running as fast as we can, and we are also short-staffed right now. We are a nonprofit. You cannot get anything or see any information on that right now. But by the time those listeners come on to watch the recorded broadcast of this, you can just hop on that website and you'll be able to pre-order. But you can't really do anything right now. But you can tomorrow.
Yes.
Which is Saturday. Today is Friday.
Yeah. And we'll make sure to share that out in the comment box. And again, for folks who will see the interview later this evening, because we get some good hits in the afternoon. They'll be able to visit the site and go there directly. But again, to your point, you're also really going to be broadcasting this out, right? So you have a plan to get the word out as well.
Yeah, I mean, we have as best a plan we can have, which I would say is a robust plan. I'm not saying we don't have a plan. Absolutely, this was a planned campaign, and you can tell how pre-planned it was because we actually designed.
That's right. That's right.
So we really I think what the campaign is about is, just acknowledging that Pride Weekend in any community is special. It's really, it's a time of celebration for us. It is the one time a year, no matter what city you're in, where, you own the streets. The rest of the year as LGBTQ people, we're concerned about our safety. We're concerned about, our visibility. But, Pride Weekend, just like the Stonewall Rebellion is about us, us being in control of our own identities and our own community, and being able to celebrate who we are safely and with dignity. So, our Proud at Home campaign, it's like a pride party, only you're at home in a shirt.
There we go.
Buy a shirt.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. And let's hope we get some really strong support for the campaign. And Porter, there's something else on the horizon for the LGBTQ Center as well, where we're talking about films.
Absolutely, absolutely. So while we had to cancel our black and white ball, obviously this is not really the season for a gala. We are really fortunate that we are going to be able to invite our community to come out again for the Long Beach Q Film Festival in September. So we host the city's oldest film festival and only LGBTQ specific film festival, Q Films. And we are working right now to get everything ready to launch Q Films digitally. So we are still going to have film screenings. We are still going to have Q&As with actors and filmmakers. We are still going to celebrate the best, brightest, and most diverse lineup we possibly can. And we are going to do it digitally this year. So we are about to share out information and begin updating our website and begin selecting films. We've got a couple hundred films we're looking at right now, and we're going to build those into, just like we do every year, more than a dozen different screening programs.
And really the best way to be on top of how the organization is putting this together, what the latest updates are, particularly as it relates to the film festival and other areas that you're working on. There's a newsletter sign up that folks can sign up for.
Yeah, so folks can sign up for our newsletter on our website. They can also follow us on social. We're at CenterLB on all social platforms. So, folks can get updates, see what we're up to. We also, if folks are looking for services, if they want to talk to a live human being, they can also call us. That information is on our website. And for folks who might want to write down a phone number, it's 562-434-4455. And we are fully staffed. We're answering our phones, and we're answering any questions that folks might have.
Thank you for that. And as we close, Porter, we've been asking everyone we interview about their self-care routine or techniques that they'd like to share. So what are you doing to take care of yourself during this time?
Well, I am a big cooker. So, my mind runs a million miles a minute, pretty much nonstop. I wake up, I check my email, I finish working, I sit on my couch and I check my email, I go for a walk and I'm thinking about work. The one thing that really works for me is to make the most detailed, intricate, and difficult recipe that I can. That hopefully take 2 to 3 hours. Since we've been at Safer at Home, I have kicked it up, and there are some Sundays where I'm in the kitchen for 6 or 7 hours.
Wow. What are you cooking up for 6 or 7 hours?
Well, usually for 6 or 7 hours, that would be a cake that requires a lot of prep. So getting the cake ready, getting the dinner entree ready, and at least 1 to 2 sides. Sometimes there is bread. I know a lot of people have gotten into sourdough. I'm not a sourdough person. I am a cinnamon roll person. I am a fresh naan person. I am a dinner roll person, but I am not a sourdough person. So pastries and baked goods, some sort of carb, and a nice long meal that requires marinating, prepping, slicing, and dicing. And for my self-care tonight, I will be making French pepper steak with roasted
boy.
Brussels sprouts, and I will be having some cab along with that, because cooking isn't fun for me unless I can wine pair with it.
Oh my God. I so just want to do a drive by your place right now.
Yeah, for more
Porter.
information on my other
Yes.
life in cooking, you can follow me on Instagram. You know,
Nice.
I should be promoting what I do. I should be promoting my organization, but really all I do is take pictures of my dinner.
Hey, that is all fair. Okay, Porter, thank you so much. That was such a treat, by the way, at the end. I can envision all this wonderful thing, all these wonderful things you're creating. But mostly, thank you so much for your leadership and for the passion that, you know, continues to drive you and what the center is doing each and every day. Porter, thanks so much for your time today. Can you believe it? 30 minutes is up and gone.
It goes fast. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to you and everyone at the Nonprofit Partnership for holding down the fort for all of us in the nonprofit community. You're an incredible and valuable resource, and we're lucky to have you in Long Beach.
Thanks, Porter. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.